Yo, what's going on, man? Today is October the 2nd. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show. This is a pretty short show today. We'll go and do a recap of last night's WNBA games. I'll go through a couple of the comments real quick, and then we'll get into the Utah Jazz and the Boston Celtics. Only two teams that's on the board for today. Tomorrow, we'll continue NBA previews. We'll talk about WNBA games as well. Tomorrow, we got the Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So super excited to jump into these NBA previews. I'm super excited for NBA season, which is right around the corner. So let's jump into it. Yesterday, I gave out one official play. It was the under between the Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty. Under 164, and it was a loser. No real excuses. I just thought that the Aces would play a little bit better defense in this game, especially with their backs against the wall. It's really shocking that they, have struggled so much to defend, this high-powered New York team. I thought that New York would win yesterday. I did say that -3.5 was on the short list, and that's the crazy part. All of the short list plays cash. Minnesota -2.5 in the first half was a winner. New York -3.5 was a winner. But I went with the under, just thinking that, not really wanting to count the champs out too much, but yeah, they're done. I also sent out, maybe the odds get better as the series goes on, but I also sent out the New York Liberty to win the championship last night before the game started, because as I said on the show yesterday, I thought that they would protect home court, and they did just that. The odds were -125 on DraftKings. Those odds are -200 now on DraftKings, and I thought that would be the best price that we would get, for the rest of the season. So I did send out that play. I do think that the Liberty are the best team in the WNBA. We'll see how it goes though. But lose a unit yesterday, a little over a unit yesterday. Back-to-back losing days. Definitely got to tighten up in the W. Got winners. Just like I said, I've been so, locked in and laser focused on this total that I haven't really been playing the sides too much. Minnesota did bounce back yesterday. That was a lean. I did think that they would bounce back, and they ended up covering the spread, I think, by 2 points. They ended up winning the game by 7 yesterday. So we do see them play a little bit better. Let's see. Prestigious Prodigy says he's first. He says, "What's good, Chris? Excited for the show. Appreciate you for tapping in as always, my brother." What up, Dad? Appreciate you for tapping in. He says he can't wait for WNBA season, for NBA season. Right there with you. What up, Peasy? Devin in here this morning. He says, I found a lot of my leans cash too. I just started betting everything. Yeah, I got to start betting everything as well. Well, maybe not everything, but I got to, make a few more plays. The Jackie Young look I talked about yesterday was an absolute winner. The Aces, I talked about them going under. The Liberty, I talked about them going under on the screens. Her 3-point prop was -1.5. That was a winner. I didn't bet it. Bree Jones minutes super limited again. That didn't go. That she stayed under. I like Alyssa Thomas under her assist last night, because I just thought that, 6 of those assists went to Mabry, who hit all those threes in game one. That was a winner. She stayed under. I got to start just, kind of trusting my instincts a little bit more, firing off more plays. So my apologies to the members, because I know people, put their hard-earned money the same way I do on these plays. But we are still up. We just should be up more. So I am slightly disappointed in myself, but we'll see. Chad says Sab came through with the +900 leading score. Made a lot of sense that they would kind of flip-flop, Chad. Her and Stewie. That series is good. I don't think I've been that excited for basketball outside of the Olympics, when they, when the men and women were playing in the key games. I don't think I've been that excited for basketball in quite a while. I don't even think the finals got me that excited last year. This series has been good. So good last night that I wasn't even tweeting about it. I had my phone away. I was just watching like, man, this is good. Corey says he live bet the under in the first quarter in the Liberty and New York game, has been cashing. The total was up to 176. Yeah, it's interesting though that, both teams continue to score early in the games, because you would think that, it wouldn't be that way. But I won't talk about it too much on this show, but I think the Liberty shot, just about 50% again. And it's interesting that they keep getting the Aces keep giving up so many layups right at the rim. That you see, Coach Becky Hammond continue to just call timeout after timeout after timeout, trying to figure it out, but she really can't. So just too much size if you're New York. But yeah, kind of is what it is. But I do think that they're the best team, and I think that they win the whole thing. So yeah, I put that future in for them. What up, CG3? Appreciate you for tapping in this morning. Dav says both series are awesome in the W right now, and they are, man. That that Minnesota Connecticut series is an ugly one, though. I tell you that, boy. The game when the Liberty game went off and they turned the game on last night, and I think it was like 5-3 with 4 minutes left or something like that. I was like, oh man, this can't get but so much worse. Sometimes watching Connecticut Sun offense is like watching paint dry, especially when they're not knocking down shots. But yeah, I do think Minnesota's gonna win that series. It's interesting. I saw the line as 1.5 in favor of Connecticut at home. I'm gonna do a little bit of deep diving, but I think I'll probably be on Minnesota in Game 3 to go back and take a 2-1 lead in this series. We'll see how it goes. Let's jump into the previews for today. We have the Utah Jazz up first. Then we'll get into the Boston Celtics right after the Utah Jazz. Like I said, tomorrow we'll have the Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just pulled these teams randomly like I always do when I do the season previews at the beginning of the year. So Utah Jazz. You guys can see here, I put some odds up. I put some additions and subtractions, and then going back to strength of schedule. This was something that, I talked about wanting to get back into and share for you guys because I totally forgot to do it yesterday. So we yesterday I previewed the Atlanta Hawks and the Atlanta Hawks and the Memphis Grizzlies. So update, the Memphis Grizzlies, Jared Jackson Jr. did sustain an injury yesterday. That's why it's really difficult to bet these, before. I typically have some bets, but I like to wait a little bit before putting these in. So just going back just real quick to yesterday, the Atlanta Hawks have the 9th easiest strength of schedule. That was something that I told you guys I was going to provide here. And then the Memphis Grizzlies have the 9th hardest schedule. So the schedule, I'll talk about the schedule a little bit more, but this is a totality ranking that this ranks, schedule of back-to-back games, third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 5th nights, travel, all of those, rest advantage, rest disadvantage, all of those different things. So 9th easiest for the Hawks, 9th hardest for the Memphis Grizzlies. So jumping into the Utah Jazz, last year this was the team that really, really struggled. They won 31. They went 31 and 51 straight up. Excuse me, 31 and 51 straight up. You can see that their regular season win total was 28.5. So the books are not expecting them to be as good, thinking that they kind of over exceeded expectation last season. And they were 42 and 40 against the number though. So this was a team that you made a slight bit of money. And at times I remember them being really, really good. I remember them going to Philly, winning a big game. And then they kind of went on a little run before they came back down to earth. Over the summer, they didn't do much. This was a team that really just re-signed Lauri Markkanen. They gave him a 5-year, $238 million contract to kind of solidify him, especially after making the MVP, making the All-Star team last year. In the draft, they go out and get Cody Williams, who I think Cody Williams is going to be nice. Have had a chance to watch him play just a little bit. He was their first pick, number 10. This is the brother of why am I having a brain freeze right now? I can't think of his name. Jalen Williams. I'm sorry, Jalen Williams, that plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And these Williams brothers are nice, man. I do like Cody Williams. So Cody Williams there. Kyle Flipovich, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was drafted with the number 32 overall pick. And then Isaiah Collier, I think he went to one of those teams that wear red jerseys. I can't remember which one it was. But I think he's going to be okay in the NBA as well. Of course, they're going to develop their, some of their young pieces and some of their rotational players. They also went out and got Drew Eubanks, Patty Mills, and then Sly. He comes over from the Boston Celtics as well. You lose Chris Dunn. You lose Omer Yurtseven. Chris Dunn is with the Clippers. Omer Yurtseven, they waived. I'm not sure what team he's on. But outside of those, those key moves, it's not a lot to be desired with this Utah Jazz team, which, as you can see, to make the playoffs, they're plus 1,800. To win the division, which I don't think they actually have a chance at all, you can get them 600 to 1 right now. None of those things I think will come to fruition. This is a Utah Jazz team that I think, like I said in the beginning, is going to continue to develop young talent. You still got, some really good guards there. Colin Sexton is a solid guard. He had a chance to play, a few more games than he has been playing over the first couple of years because of, some injuries. And then outside of, Colin Sexton, you still got Jordan Clarkson there, who I think that they're going to end up shipping Jordan Clarkson off. I feel like, because Keontae George played his play probably exceeded expectations. They're going to want to continue to develop that chemistry, especially with a guy like Omer Yurtseven. Like a guy with Lauri Markkanen. So you want Lauri Markkanen and some of your young assets like Keontae George on the floor at the same time. Having these lead guards like Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson, I don't think both of them will be on the team at the end of the season. I think at the end of the day, this Utah Jazz team is going to be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So I think they'll try to retain some of their assets, make a couple big moves throughout free agency, maybe throughout the trade. But I don't think, Utah's not going to compete for anything. I'm not telling you guys anything special here. So I think that, the win total being at 28.5, we look at that number and we think it's pretty low. I think it's pretty low. It's difficult to think a team that's not going to win 29 games in the NBA that won, like I said, 31 last season. However, we know that, and I think this is something that I've learned over the course of sports betting. These teams sell hard at the end of the trade deadline. They'll trade away assets to make sure that they can start to tank. We've seen this happen over and over, specifically with the Utah Jazz. So that's something I wanted to make sure, I pointed out to people who are like, man, that win total is really low. I do think it's low for a reason. Like I said, they won 31 games last season, and the books have them projected to lose 20 to win 20, just 28 this season. And the odds when I checked on FanDuel was juiced to the under as well, minus 132 for the under. So books are thinking that the Jazz are going to, struggle this year. And I'm kind of that same mindset. I think if they pushed all their chips into the middle of the table, they could. And here's the reason why, before we move on to the Boston Celtics. Going back and just putting some analytics and looking at some key numbers to the Utah Jazz. This team was 17th in points per 100 possessions last season. They were 19th in effective field goal percentage. They turned the ball over more than any other team in the NBA, 15.6% turnover percentage. One of the things that they did well on the offensive end was rebound the basketball. They were the number 2 offensive rebounding team, which is interesting because Walker Kessler, he didn't develop like they thought that he was going to last year. He still struggles, can't really knock down a mid-range jump shot. Pretty sure that's something that he's worked on in the course of the offseason. But they can't really play him because the offense gets too clunky when you have a guy that can't spread the floor. The NBA today is all about, 1-4 sets where everybody can shoot, everybody can dribble. And you at least got to be able to dribble, to be able to shoot even if you can't dribble. And I think that was one of the reasons why Walker Kessler minutes were, limited last season. He played just less than 25 minutes per game last season. But like I said, he's a really good, offensive rebounder. The same thing with Lauri Markkanen. Those guys were really good rebounders. Utah did get to the free throw line, 9th in free throw rate. But then when you go through and start looking at some of their defensive metrics, this was the worst defensive team in the NBA last year. 120.9 points per given up per 100 possessions. Third worst effective field goal percentage, allowing teams to shoot north of 57%. And they also didn't force any turnovers. So defense was a bad part for Utah. And you can look at the additions and subtractions. There's not a lot to be desired with this team. Based on the moves that they made. So those were some of the key things that I looked at for this Utah Jazz team. They also really struggled to defend the three-point line. When you go back and look at the shooting zones, they were the third worst team defending the above the break three. They allowed teams to shoot it at the second highest rate. And just overall, the team shot the best percentage. Team shot 40% against the Utah Jazz when they were, shooting three-pointers, all threes last season. This team also struggled, and I could keep going on for days, but I won't. They also struggled. Last thing I'll mention, they struggled in the half court as well. They were 24th in points scored per play in the half court, just 95.3 points per 100 possessions last season in the half court. So this is a team that, not magically going to get any better this season based on, just the key numbers that we mentioned. Look out for them to make some moves in the trade deadline, though. Far strength of schedule, I put it here so you guys can see it. They do have the 7th easiest schedule. They will be at a rest disadvantage in a league high second most games, which is 12. The most back-to-backs, the biggest rest disadvantage this season is 13 games, and they have 12 where they'll be at a rest disadvantage. They also have the second most back-to-backs at 15, tied with 9 other teams. The most back-to-backs is 16 this season. So just some notes. Hopefully that helps you guys. I think if I'm betting on the Jazz, it's not anything that really stands out. Maybe some overs, specifically at home. We know that they really struggled to defend. On the road. We know they really struggled to defend. I think they were an over team on the road last season. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about the Utah Jazz. Let's see if you guys have any thoughts on the Jazz before we move over to the Boston Celtics. Dav says they missed their first 14 shots. Yeah, I saw that, boy. It was bad. It was bad. Chad says Aces went small with Clark for Stokes. That leaves Asia to deal with JJ, and Stewie maybe time to dust off Meg Gustafson. Yeah, Chad, I was to your point here. I was listening to Coach Becky Hammond before the game, and she was saying before the game in her pregame interview, she was saying that it was a likelihood that Meg Gustafson would see the floor yesterday, but she also said that New York just runs so fast that she didn't want to put Meg out there, and that makes a lot of sense because you kind of you got your hands tied. You need Kia Stokes out there because she can stretch the floor, unlike Kia Stokes. You need Kia Stokes out there because she has the size. And if you put Meg Gustafson out there, you get worse on the defensive end. And honestly, I'm not sure if Meg Gustafson has much more of an offensive game than Alicia Clark did yesterday. Alicia Clark had 8 points in the first quarter. She had 2 threes. Made the Liberty, really stretch the floor out. So you're right. And that's why I think the Liberty going to win the series. That's exactly why. Just don't think the Aces got enough guns this year, especially with not having Candace Parker. My guy, Ant, ain't that Devin, left me a $20 dono. Appreciate that, bro. He says, we almost here NBA season. You've been doing this thing for years. Appreciate the daily analysis. Hope you dive back in the player props this year like the old days. Either way, can't wait for you to get started in the spaces again. Yeah, we'll bring the spaces back this season. I thought about doing the spaces off the early morning, just kind of putting it in with these shows, but I did not. But I appreciate that, Devin. Definitely going to be back in the player props this season. Some spot plays, as far as size and totals in the NBA. But yeah, we'll definitely get back into the player props for sure. Already kind of looking into it for real as well. What up, Ball Talk? Prolific says, good morning, Chris. Still waiting for Las Vegas defense to come. Boy, man, actually almost kept me up at night last night, Prolific. He said, Ball Talk says this team is bad. Fade these boys on the road. Jazz also lost Tyler Horton Tucker. He went to Chicago. I don't even think I noticed that, but okay. Prolific says NBA is the move. Jazz not getting to 29. Yeah, I don't think they're getting to 29, but I'm not going to bet it. He says they got to play OKC, Denver, Minnesota 4 times a year. I think they split with Portland. I haven't gotten into Portland yet, but this makes a lot of sense. Let's move on over to the defending champs, man. We got the Boston Celtics up next. Man, it's not a lot that I'm going to tell you guys that you probably don't know already. We'll start with, just a recap of last season. Of course, they went 64-18 straight up in the regular season, 80-21 straight up for the full season. They went after, the regular season, they did go 16-3 in the playoffs, ended up winning the championship, 51-44-6 against the number, including the playoffs last season. And the craziest thing about Boston was that even though, they won so many games and they were priced, if you had to lay a big margin, lay a big number with the Boston Celtics most times if you wanted to back them last season. The thing I found most interesting is their 51-46-8 ATS record was actually the 8th highest covering rate. So even though they won all those games and you had to lay such a big number, they still covered at the 8th highest rate last season. As far as additions and subtractions, they didn't really do much. The core is still together. They returned all their rotational players. Even Al Horford, which I thought Al Horford was going to retire, he's back for another run. You still got Peyton Pritchard off the bench. You still got Sam Hauser, who they just signed to a nice contract for Sam Hauser. You lose O'Shea Brissett. Sly just talked about. He ended up on the other team, the Utah Jazz that we just talked about. You go out and draft this Baylor. I'm not even going to butcher his name. And then you add Lonnie Walker. They got a couple other guys that they added in the draft as well. And for Boston, the guys that they draft, they're typically all the same. They just want 3-and-D guys, and all of their draftees are going to be 3-and-D guys. Now you add Lonnie Walker, who can also get a bucket off the bench. This team, I think, is going to be really good again, as you can see by the odds. They have the shortest odds to win the championship this season at plus 340. The best number is available on ESPN Bet. To win the Atlantic Division, they're minus 130 on Caesars. That's the best number that's available. And the regular season win total is 58.5, plus 105 over on Caesars. I actually think that all of these are worth playing. The thing that I don't know if people saw the clip, but this was the team, because the Boston Celtics are playing the Denver Nuggets in I forgot what country they're playing in, but because they're playing, the first preseason game, they had the first media day and they had the first training camp ritual as well. And the thing that, one of the things that really stuck out to me was watching the clip of, Jaylen Brown saying that when they play teams like the Detroit Pistons, they're really trying to, make sure Peyton Pritchard and some of those bench guys have, really big games because they know that they're going to win. And I think that Boston gets it, man. This is not a team, that is new to winning basketball games, and not to just winning basketball games, but being in the mix. We got to remember something about the Boston Celtics. Even though last year was the first time that they actually hoisted the championship, this team was right in the mix for the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Honestly, Tatum has been to, I can't remember how many. I think it's 5 or 6 conference championships already. So yeah, I think Boston understands the mission. I think that they're young player. Their core is still really, really young as well. Outside of Al Horford, pretty sure he gonna have his rest days. But I expect Boston to be a very well-oiled machine, similar to what they was last year. There will be nights that you can fade Boston, absolutely, because I think that they're gonna take their foot off the gas. They're gonna be laying big numbers, as they typically always are. And for them, it's championship or bust again. I'm pretty sure they want to put together back-to-back championships. We'll see how complacent they are, but I do think that Boston's going to be really, really good this season. Last year, this team was number 1 in points scored per 100 possessions at 123. They were number 1 in effective field goal percentage at 58. They were number 2 in turnover percentage. They didn't really turn the ball over a lot because you got really good guards. Derek White, Drew Holiday. Tatum probably still feel like he got something to prove based off 2 different things. Not that he didn't win a championship and an Olympic medal and just signed for another, what was it, $300 million contract? But Tatum was slighted with his minutes in the Olympics. And he didn't, Jaylen Brown ended up winning the Finals MVP. Jason Tatum right now actually has the shortest odds to win Finals MVP. I think is at plus 800 over on, I think I wrote it down, plus 800. I think he's on FanDuel. But don't quote me on that. I know he got the second shortest odds. So yeah, man. Strength of schedule wise, I put it here before I jump back into a couple of the stats. Boston is one of only 6 teams this season that will play a season low, 13 back-to-backs. That's the lowest number of back-to-backs. The other 24 teams all play at least 14. When you factor in the back-to-backs, the home road, the rest advantage, the travel, the altitude, all those factors, Boston actually has the 4th easiest schedule. So that's not good for the NBA, for all the other teams as well. I think, excuse me, I think 2 things are true about Boston regarding last season. One is that they were the best team in the league and they would have beat whoever they faced. That's my personal opinion. The second thing that's true, though, and I think, like I said, 2 things are true. They did have one of the easier paths that I've seen to a championship. Miami was hobbled in the first round with no Jimmy Butler. Cleveland, same thing, second round with no Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. Third round, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. And then when they got to the finals against the Mavs, they absolutely crushed them. Outside of that, losing that one game where they got blew out. They blew Dallas out, I think, every other game pretty much. I think it was a double-digit win in each one. And that was a Mav team that was at full strength. So yeah, going back into the numbers real quick. Number 1 in net rating, 11. They won by an average of 11.3 points per game last season. Number 1 in corner 3 frequency. They shot the 3-point ball really, really well. They shot the above the break 3 really, really well, 38%. Number 1 in above the break 3-point percentage. Number 1 overall in all 3-point frequency. Number 2 in all 3-point accuracy, shooting 39% last season. And defensively, they were just as good as well. Number 3 in points allowed per 100 possessions. Number 2 in opponent effective field goal percentage. Number 1 in free throw rate. They never put teams on the free throw line. And they had, like I said, they had the biggest net rating as well. This is a well-oiled machine, man. Half court offense, half court defense, all of it. They just like to, play defense and get out, shoot a bunch of threes, and get to the rim. And I'm not sure that Boston doesn't win 60 games again this season. I do like Boston a lot. Did I bet it yet? No. So I won't put that on the recap. But I'm just kind of waiting to get through all the teams, and then I'll make a couple of plays afterwards. So the way that the schedule is set up, and I tweeted this out for people, I put it on YouTube as well so people can see it, but the calendar is set up so I can get through every team, and then I still have 3 days to put all my bets in before the season actually happens. And I think that's important to not place the bets right now, even though I'm doing the previews right now, because you don't want an injury to happen like Jared Jackson Jr. Yesterday, where you place a bet now before the season starts, and then before the season even starts, there's an impact that weakens your odds. So I haven't played anything. Like I said, I'll go through and do all my due diligence with every single team, and then I'll make the bets afterwards though. But the last thing I wanted to mention is that the second shortest odds, I think, to win the championship actually are the New York Knicks, which is still in this team's division. If the Knicks were not in the Atlantic Division with the Boston Celtics, I do think that the Boston Celtics to win the division would be a lot longer odds. I want to say the average odds for, and I'm gonna pull it up real quick. The average odds for the actual NBA winner. I'm gonna pull it up real quick just to make sure I'm not tripping. Let's see if I can find it. Championship winner. So the average odds right now have the Oklahoma City as number 2, and the New York Knicks actually got the third shortest odds right now. Average odds for the New York Knicks is plus 725. So yeah, we see much bigger odds, I think, if these two teams won in the same division. And that's the breakdown for the Boston Celtics, man. A lot of different ways I think you could play them. I do think that they win the division. I do think that they win 60 games again this season. And they probably win another championship, in my opinion, as well. Let's see if you guys have any thoughts on Boston this season. Drop a Dime says Celtics ain't winning 59 games. Boy, I don't think I could agree with that. But Drop a Dime, you're a Pacers fan, right? So I think that makes sense for you not to like them. But you got to tell me why you don't think this team gonna win 60 games this season. They take care of home, and I feel like they played better on the road last season as well. Ball Talk says Tatum and Brown revenge tour on the way. Peyton Pritchard somewhere cooking someone in one-on-one as we speak. And Skip G says C's running back. I think the Celtics are going to be a well-oiled machine again. I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything special. You can just look at the odds. To win the division, minus 130. To win the championship, shortest odds at plus 340. It's actually down to plus 300 on a couple different books as well. Bet365 got a plus 300. Bet Rivers also got a plus 300. I know it's difficult to tie your money up for the full season, but it's probably going to be a nice investment here. Drop a Dime says it is a little personal, but I think the East teams got better. Yeah, like I said, I'll have some bets for you guys. Some bets that I'm placing myself. If you want to tell them, you can. But I do have some. I will have some bets that I'll make, some season-long bets, and I'll share them with you guys when I get there. I just haven't bet anything quite yet. What up, for real? Appreciate you for tapping in. I think I did a pretty good job, and I don't know if you guys have already, looked into these teams already or not, but yeah, Utah Jazz and the Boston Celtics wrapped up for today. So I think we did a pretty good job. I didn't bet anything though with either one of these teams quite yet. Bets to be yet to come, but we'll have some bets. Resources, just sharing this with you guys as I always do. OddsJam will get you 20% off your first month if you use code ChrisBeCappinn. That's where I go to find all the the best odds on whatever it is that I want to bet. Season-long player props, NBA championship odds, the division odds. So when you guys see things like when you see this plus 1,800 on DraftKings for the Utah Jazz to make the playoffs, that's the best odds that that's available on the market. You can find other odds, but that's going to be the best odds Not that you want to play the Jazz go into the playoffs, but that's going to be the best odds that you can get for the Jazz to make the playoffs. And that's all courtesy of Odds Jam. 50% off, still running the promo over at Money Baller as well. I see a lot of people using that sign-up link, and I appreciate it. It does make the work a lot easier. So hopefully it's helpful for you guys. And leave some feedback if you're somebody who have used Money Baller. I'm interested to know if it makes the handicapping process a little bit easier for you guys as well. But yeah, these will be the resources that I use. At the bottom right, you guys see cleaning the glass. I talk about this all the time when I handicap the NBA, but I love cleaning the glass. I take all of their numbers into consideration before I'm placing bets, and they give you a really good overview. I'm not I don't get paid. That's just a really good website that I use because it factors out garbage time and makes it a lot easier to kind of quantify the data that is important in my opinion. So those are the resources that I use, man. If you enjoyed the show, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not. Like the video, share the show, all that good stuff. Let me know if there's a Utah Jazz future or a Boston Celtics future that you guys would play. What would it be? Let me know. I'm interested to know. Tatum MVP. I'm curious to know what people are betting. And we're at the very, very, early parts of NBA season with preseason games not even taking place yet, but they are right around the corner. What up to my guy, Jose? Dav says, I can't bet futures. Seeing my money tied up drives me crazy. I love it. I absolutely love it, Dav. They're typically bets that I feel like I got a huge edge on. So when I place futures, they're typically a little heavier bets, just because I do feel so, I like my position. Let's just put it like that. I think it's a great investment into my betting portfolio. So yeah, I like tying my money up. It's only a percentage of my bankroll, but I do like tying my money up. Ball Talk says I can see the Heat getting the Celtics. Okay. And appreciate you for tapping in as well, Prestigious Prodigy. Best of luck on all your action, man. If you're betting MLB playoffs today. Tomorrow we'll be back. Like I said, we have the Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow. We'll jump into the WNBA round 2 game number 3s as well. And hopefully we can get to some money, man. Appreciate everybody for tapping in as always. Best of luck on all your action. Bet responsibly on whatever it is that you're betting. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.